This is a red alert. A quote doomsday warning has been issued for the United States, and specifically the west coast of the United States has been issued this quote doomsday warning. And we've seen warnings like this issued in other parts of the world before very big events happen, right? So we could be getting ready to see the big one potentially. Let's dive into the details here really quick. Please just hit it up for me down there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos a day, keeping you guys updated on all this big urgent news, right? So this doomsday warning was just issued for the west coast of the United States, California, potentially for the big one, right? And while this is happening, we are also getting warnings from the government in Japan to avoid panic buying. All right, the government in Japan is telling people to avoid panic buying in case of a quote megaquake that could hit Japan. All right, I broke this news last week how there were warnings by the US embassy and the Japanese government of a quote megaquake that could hit. All right, and they're anticipating a 9.1 magnitude earthquake that could hit this region, and the shock waves, this energy being released, could make its way all the way over to Alaska and the west coast. All right, but they are also warning people in Japan to quote avoid panic buying as megaquake fears spread. People have been clearing off the shelves. They've been getting all the storable food, and they actually just had a 7.1 earthquake just last week. Okay, so people are freaking out. Okay, and they're saying that they could have potential sales restrictions on the way as well if shortages continue and if people continue to buy major amounts of goods. And this is the issue, is that this is why you should be prepping, because if you prepare preemptively, then there's not going to be any issue. You're not going to be going out and panic buying. So be prepared preemptively, okay? And they're telling people to get portable toilets, preserved food, and bottled water, right? That's what they're warning of right now in Japan. But if you already have your preps, then you don't need to go out and panic buy anything. You shouldn't be doing that if you are preemptively prepared and ready to go. All right, so that's what they're warning of in Japan, and we just got this doomsday warning inside the U.S. as well for the West Coast and California. All right, so a very rare event just happened in California. This has only happened 20 times since 1901. Okay, so in the past 123 years, this event has only happened 20 times. So this is a rare event, and we are seeing it happen more frequently and more often, okay? And this actually happened right before a giant earthquake in Taiwan and also in Japan, the 2011 earthquake that hit Fukushima. This is the exact same thing that happened before. It's now happening here in the US potentially, and this could be a doomsday warning. All right, so what's happening here and what happened in Taiwan actually last year too, or earlier this year, whenever those big earthquakes hit Taiwan and we saw these buildings leaning over, these surreal photos. I thought they were AI at first because they were so surreal. These photos of Taiwan, the earthquake there. This is exactly what happened there too, okay? We saw this very rare, quote, doomsday fish appear. All right, so there were dozens of, quote, doomsday fish that washed up on the shores of Taiwan and Japan, and it is now happening in California too. All right, so dozens of these fish washed up on the shores in Japan before the 2011 earthquake. All right, they were saying it was over 30 different doomsday fish, which are called oarfish, OAR fish, oarfish. They are very rare. They're this very long, strange-looking fish, and they live very deep, deep under the ocean, under the surface, right? Very deep waters we're talking here, where there's not even really any light. And for them to be washing up here, that means that they're going towards the surface for some reason, and they're dying out here, and we're now seeing their bodies wash up, right? And it means there's a lot more around. And they think, the theory is that these fish start washing up before a big earthquake. Okay, this happened in 2011. This also happened a few months ago in Taiwan as well. There were a lot of these fish that were washing up around the shores of Taiwan before they had this big earthquake there. All right, and now in California, there's only been 20 that have washed up since 1901, and we are getting more and more. They just found another one that was almost 30 feet long. All right, so these things are coming out from deep underground, or deep underwater, sorry. And 2 days after this, quote, doomsday fish was found, a 4.6 earthquake actually hit Los Angeles. All right, this happened just a couple days ago. We had a 4.6, and we keep having these rattles happening in California near these big cities where everyone feels it. All right, so we could be getting closer. Not saying this is 100% going to happen, but these doomsday, quote, doomsday fish, they normally wash up because it means there's a lot more that are swimming around in the area, and some of them are dying, okay? And they're now washing up, and we're finding them because they're so big. This is not normal. They normally would just die at the bottom of the sea and just float down, right? And be eaten by other fish down there, their carcass, okay? That's what would normally happen. So this is strange that they're in shallow waters, okay? This was found in shallow waters by people swimming around right off the coast, right? It looks like they're maybe 50 to 100 feet from the shoreline, right? These are pretty shallow waters. I can't tell exactly from these pictures of this oarfish, but it's a sign, right? It's definitely a sign that they could be coming to the surface because they feel something going on down there. They feel the disturbances. Something on their radar is going off. Okay, fish they're not that smart individually. Okay, some of them are. But they are very tapped in to their surroundings. Okay, and that's why they can create schools of fish where it's almost a giant organism similar to birds flying around. They can all move in a pattern together, okay? They're very in tune with what's going on around them and very tapped into it. So if anything is off in their surroundings, then they will instantly respond to it. Any type of vibration, that's how fish feel everything and notice everything. They really don't even use their eyes. They do, but most of it is vibration, okay? If you use any type of lures for fishing, any type of spinners, anything like that, most lures are creating some type of vibration when it's moving through the water, okay? Or it has a tail on it, so it's like wiggling around, right? This is all for fishing. And that's how you attract the fish. It's all through movement and vibration, and they feel it through the water, right? So they could be feeling these strange, very deep vibrations moving through deep waters, and they could be coming up to the surface to get away from it, right? It could be driving them out. There could be sounds going on. Who knows what's happening down there, right? So be on the lookout and be prepared potentially for a big one to hit the West Coast, right? And we keep seeing these mega clusters happen as well. This happened just a week or two ago as well, and this happened a couple months ago too, where we keep seeing these mega clusters in Southern California around the San Andreas Fault line of dozens and dozens of earthquakes, 30, 40, 50 earthquakes all hitting within 48-hour times. All right, this keeps happening on the West Coast too. right? So, and another thing to keep an eye on is the new Madrid fault line as well in Missouri. We could see disruptions there. And they were actually running major earthquake drills, the National Guard, in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, just last month. Okay, they were preparing for a megaquake to hit there. And they were running mass casualty drills in St. Louis, Missouri, just last month. Okay, the National Guard and CBRN teams, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear teams were there, right? So they are getting prepared. This is becoming, it's coming on the radar more and more, right? That's why the story could have significance, right? It's nothing certain, but it's a warning sign. It's definitely a warning that we need to look out for. It's another thing, right? It's like this drill. It's like, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but something is happening behind the scenes and we are seeing parts moving. And if this does happen, think of the destruction to the power grid, the water systems, the pipelines, the roads. Okay, all these things are going to be destroyed, severed, and it could cover a major population center like Los Angeles. Any one of these major population centers could be hit, and all of their infrastructure could be taken offline from one of these megaquakes. All right, and it doesn't even have to be a 9.1. And they were actually preparing for a 9.2 to hit Alaska a couple months ago too. The National Guard was as well. But it doesn't even have to be something along those lines. It could even be a 8 potentially that hits a densely populated area and causes major disruption. So be on the lookout, be prepared, make sure you have your stockpiles ready to go, right? And don't panic buy like people are doing in Japan. Don't wait till the last second till it's like, wait a minute, till it slaps you in the face to realize that something is actually going on. There actually is, this actually could happen, right? Don't wait till the last second to fill your tanks, to have your prepper pantry stored up. Don't hoard anything, all right? Because that's what happens when there's shortages and there's pressure like this. People start hoarding. Just have your preps ready preemptively so you're ready to go, so you're not, if the supply chain's fine right now and you just bought a few extra things for your preps, you are not putting any pressure really on the supply chain or anything like that because there's no crisis right now, right? But in the middle of an emergency or preemptively when we're getting these warnings, everyone's going to be trying to buy more, and that's what's going to create shortages, is once everyone starts freaking out, buying all the toilet paper, buying all the bread, buying all the milk, all the stuff. Those are the first things that people always go for. If you've ever been through like a hurricane or a big storm or a tornado or any type of natural disaster or anything like that, that's the thing that they always go for right away, is the bread, the toilet paper, paper towels, milk. Half the things, people are getting refrigerated things as well when the power could go out, right? And all this stuff's going to go bad. So have a generator too, right? We have a generator, and we had a power outage just a couple weeks ago from this Hurricane Debbie that came through, right? And we were having tornado warnings, all this stuff going on. And we had to fire up the generator for a while. Thankfully, it wasn't out for a long time, but it was like 4 or 5 hours it was out. And we had to get it fired up. So have these things ready. Have your tanks filled, your gas tanks, your water tanks, your prepper pantry. Have all these things filled up. And be prepared to dig in case you need to for a long time, for anything, right? The closer we get to the end of the year, we could see a big event pop off, right? Some type of black swan event. So it's best to be preemptively prepared for that. So thank you guys. Please hit it up for me down there to help get this warning out so people know. I appreciate that. I hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.